We are back to talk more about off campus. Let's be honest. This is reaching like a heated rivalry level of commitment where I feel like I'm rewatching, I'm watching all the fan edits, I'm living for every interview from the showrunner. Like it feels like it's that same part of the brain, like the joy receptor part of the brain, where you just want more.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to just dive right into my favorite episode.
Let's do it.
Okay, this is episode 4. And this episode is perfection. And my brain just sputtered out. We start off with a conversation about orgasms in which Hannah is now in the like coach role of like, buckle up, like, you know, we're going to do this. And instead, Garrett is sort of like on uneven ground, like he just immediately is having trouble catching up. I think it is a lot to unpack in a quick moment, but it's done so well. She is telling someone about her trauma for the first time and is not allowing him to like treat her like a little fragile thing, and instead just being like, here's the deal, I need you to do this for me. And it's a fantastic conversation. Then we go, we're just
go right ahead.
Then we get to a little bit later, my favorite scene in the entire season, which takes place in like the potentially most masculine space possible, which is a weight room. And everyone's sweating and grunting, and it's like the epitome of masculinity. And instead, we have I can't imagine this happening in reality, where two tough hockey bros are discussing consent and trust and foreplay, like the importance of foreplay. And my favorite lines are, you know, if it's her first time, she's not going to come. Oh, she has to come. Respect. It is, the writers did a fantastic job. And I know that conversations like that probably are few and far between two men. And I just love that probably a woman was like, I want to see this in the world, so I'm going to write this beautiful scene. And maybe that's manifesting.
Probably a woman. Definitely a woman. Definitely a woman. Like that scene has been reposted and remixed on Instagram over and over and over again.
As it should be.
As it should be. And I also think we talk a lot on this podcast about book boyfriends and about the way that fictional men do and say things that are hard to find sometimes in the real world. That conversation, I think the reason it's becoming more viral as compared to some of the other moments is because that's a thing you hope would happen, but perhaps have not ever experienced yourself. Mm-hmm. And to see them not in a performative way, like to each other with no one else listening, saying that was very satisfying.
Yeah. Like I could just rewatch that. I think that's going to be the episode that I rewatch the most. We also get drunk Shakespeare in that episode, which is, I mean, A Midnight Summer's Dream is perfection on its own. But then to add booze and to add like it's not a love triangle because there's 4 people. So it's like 2 triangles Venn diagramming. Does that make sense?
Yes. It's a good explanation.
It's chaos. Oh, we also get like a striptease in there. It's I don't even know.
I know that there's at least one hardcore theater kid in that writer's room
1000%.
Because of the way that came together. You get drag queen vibes. You get the riotousness of the drunk performance. The striptease is utterly hilarious. We have talked about this on earlier episodes of Plans Are Booked. I was in A Midsummer Night's Dream in the 7th grade. So anytime it is used in a pop culture moment, it just makes me laugh because that dialogue is so ingrained in my brain.
Were you the wall?
Yes. I was the human wall between Pyramus and Thisbe. But it's the perfect metaphor for the story which is why it gets used in so many of these rom-coms, because it sets you up to tell the story that you want to tell and to put people in those situations of the switching and the falling for one person and then changing your mind. I felt also like at that point, so we're halfway through in episode 4, the fake dating, the tension is rising. It's like becoming harder and harder to keep it fake. And that drunk Shakespeare moment really pushes it to the limit, where it's in front of everybody. And it's like, are they going to be able to continue to pull this off? I thought it was brilliant.
I just realized I zoomed right past the most intimate moment, which is Hannah and Garrett and the orgasm, and how it starts with a little dance party, which is my favorite. I don't know why it made me think of one of my favorite moments in Grey's Anatomy when Christina Yang and Meredith Grey just needed to like dance it out. There's something about, I mean, especially in my 20s, just like putting music on and just like dancing alone in your room is like so freeing, and it just loosened them up beautifully to have this really intense and honest and open and vulnerable moment together, which I thought I worried a little bit of how this was going to be done, having read the book multiple times, and they did it. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think it was perfect.
I think every fan of the book was holding their breath for one, that this moment would be included at all, because depending on how like X-rated the streaming services that you're on, you may or may not be able to do it in the way that you want. And I think everyone who loves the book wanted to see it make it in, and wanted to see it done respectfully, but also with the same like level of spiciness that it has in the book. I thought they did an incredible job without making it gratuitous. And in the book, they like warm up by watching TV together. And the dance adjustment, I thought, was so, it was a great choice because one, it's more entertaining when you're watching something as opposed to reading it and using your imagination. But as you said, it brought that freedom feeling into it in a way that if you're totally new to the story, you need that. You need to be like, okay, she's loosening up. She's getting to a place where she's going to feel like maybe this is a possibility. And I think in the previous episode where they go to karaoke night at Malone's, you see how the singing and the dancing is a thing where they sort of like tease each other, razz each other, and it just kind of builds on that flirtatiousness of their relationship. And I thought it was amazing. And it also reminds me, I feel like I've said this a lot when we've been talking about page to screen adaptations lately. Love and Basketball also has a pretty intense, similar-ish scene. And it reminded me of that, like the music choice, the pacing. It's like you're going to be taken care of in this moment, and you don't have to worry about it. And you're going to get to where you want to go. And I thought it was amazing. And I hope for those who watched first and then read the book that they're going to have even greater appreciation for the way it came on screen once they read the source material.
Absolutely. And also then we get to use that song a second time in what I think I think someone on the production team is meant to be a friend of ours, because we started off the first episode with like a ode to John Hughes. We end the season with another ode to Jake Ryan, one of the best like TV boyfriends of all time, with like a exact mirroring pose, and car could have used a Porsche, but whatever. But in this episode, we get sort of like an ode to 10 Things I Hate About You, with one of the greatest parallels, the Heath Ledger singing at the top of the soccer stadium. And instead we are in the rink and Hannah is singing the song over the speakers. And perfection.
It's perfection, and the internet has gone bananas comparing this performance to the Heath Ledger performance in 10 Things I Hate About You, and I think it makes a lot of sense. It's very similar energy, kind of cocky, arrogant guy, where people don't really understand where that's coming from or why that emotional shield of armor exists. And then, that movie is based on Taming of the Shrew, and to get to the point where the walls come down and you let somebody in. And I feel like there are just certain choices that they made for the screen version that just dialed up everything, whether it's the tension or the romance or the affection or the flirtation. It's been awesome. And it's so clear that Louisa Levy, the showrunner, is a massive fan of the book. Like, this is produced like a love letter to this relationship and the others coming in the next books, which we already know season 2 is a go. I want to skip you skipped to the end, but I want to go back just to know there's a lot to say. So there's 2 different versions of storytelling that happens around the Thanksgiving weekend. And in addition to the Hannah orgasm storyline, the second most important thing I wanted to see is how they were going to do this Thanksgiving scene at Garrett's father's house, because it's really the moment where you find out like the whole truth about how scared Garrett is about becoming his father. And I wanted them to execute it similarly in the show. They don't have as much time to give it as it was given in the book, but I thought you got the same emotional heft for how hard it was for him to be back in the space where all of those terrible things happened. You see the same fear in his eyes when he worries his dad is treating his current girlfriend the same way. And the scene where he and Hannah are trying to drive away from the house and Hannah is now driving and he's in the passenger seat. He's clenching his fists. I felt like it was happening to me looking at his hands, and he could not regulate his nervous system at all. And when he finally admits to her why he can't get past this, I felt like her reaction was so on screen, compassionate, and she gave him the space to just fall apart and do whatever he needed to do. Then in the parallel timeline in the next episode, you see what was happening with Allie and with Dean. Now, I haven't read books 2 and 3, so I don't know all the details of their relationship, but I do know that they get their own story and that they've been planting the seeds in this first season, knowing that they're going to have them be a central storyline in the future.
Can I just interject that then we get another John Hughes moment of chess playing on a table, which didn't have to happen, but whoever made that decision, I feel like, again, I love you. Thank you for doing that.
Yes, the chess scene is such a callback to 16 Candles. It has that build of like, will they, won't they, will they, won't they. And I love the way she teases him. Like, this is your best move. Like, where do you usually end the apartment tour? You know, she's just never letting him off the hook. And then you start to see all the ways that they've been sneaking around in moments that you'd already seen in earlier episodes, but not realize that they were escaping together. I'm obsessed that they call each other by their Halloween costume nicknames, the duo party. I got so excited. I literally broke my microphone. The duo party costumes. I love that he's in her phone as Maverick. And don't tell me because I haven't read them yet, so I don't know what is going to happen. But I feel like the foundation they've laid for the two of them is amazing. Like, you're all in, you feel the chemistry, you want it to happen. You see the ways that they're opening each other up different from the other people that you've seen them with. I'm finding their chemistry as exciting as Hannah and Garrett's.
What's interesting is I immediately was thinking, oh, they did the heated rivalry thing where they gave one episode to characters that are in a different book that are going to continue. But I mean, maybe heated rivalry, who knows how much Kip and Scott we're actually going to see in the next season, whereas we're going to see a lot of Allie and Dean. But it's interesting to me, you know, going into this, watching like whatever clips they just like breadcrumbed out for us while they were filming, I kept wondering, like, are they going to actually stick to season 1, book 1, season 2, book 2? And instead, it's almost like they're weaving them all together. Like, not to give anything away, I think if you've been looking at the stuff online, then you know that Logan's love interest is Grace Ivers, who was mentioned in the episode where they do the raffles and stuff.
Yeah, the fundraiser.
Yes. So I think that they're trying to not have it so separate like the books are. They're trying to sort of weave everything together in a way where, yes, season 2, maybe we are more focused on a different couple, but I think everyone's going to get screen time. Like, I don't think, my hope, anyways, is that we're not going to just completely no longer see Hannah and Garrett. I'm sure that they're going to continue, but maybe not be as front and center in the next season. Do you know what I mean? And
Totally.
I'm assuming that they're going to sort of weave both books 2 and 3 into season 2, because that it feels like we're skipping ahead to season 3 with the Allie and Dean stuff, but I'm who knows? I'm trusting at this point. I was nervous going into this, and now, like, you have all my trust. Whatever you want to do, producers, I am on board. I am seated.
I've been thinking about this a lot because we are having with this the reverse experience where we read first and then watched, whereas with Heated Rivalry we watch first and then read. So I think there's an element of like holding your breath, like, please don't mess this up. Like, we love these characters, we love their trajectory. I think everyone who was worried has breathed a big sigh of relief and is now just excited because the translation of it to the screen is even better, I think, than many of us thought would be possible. And the casting, I know we said this before, but the casting is really so superb. And now that the cast is allowed to share behind the scenes stuff, now that all the episodes are out, you can see how much fun genuinely they were having making this together, spending time together, traveling together, doing the press tour together. I think that makes you more inclined to sort of dive into the fandom when you know that the cast genuinely loves spending time together and that they're proud of what they made. I think that's why people fell so in love with Connor and Hudson, because it was so clear how much they love each other and respect each other and how much fun they have. And it feels like we're being led into a similar kind of camaraderie with this. I will also say, you mentioned a few things about the last episode that you loved. I don't know if you got this same feeling, but when Hannah was doing her final performance, it was reminding me so much of when Becca is the lead singer in the final scene of Pitch Perfect. And she is singing the Say Anything song to Jesse in the audience. And I was like, it's happening again. It's happening again. The grand gesture, like Garrett's grand gesture was showing up when she didn't think that he would. And her grand gesture was to sing openly about everything that she was feeling. And I was like, this, excuse me, is so good. I can't handle it. It's just like, it's so, so, so good. And this feels like this is for people who love rom-coms. Like,
yes,
they just know the emotional chords they need to hit for all of us to swoon. And in many of the interviews the casts have been giving over the last couple of weeks, they keep talking about the return of the yearn and that people want this feeling. The pining, the lusting, the falling, the releasing yourself, that people just really need to see that can happen. And I agree. The return of the urn. I'm into it.
I want to talk for a second about Beau, because I feel like when I read the series, he wasn't like a standout character for me. He was sort of two-dimensional, and I feel like they have given him such depth that I was not expecting. He's like a fully formed character, and I don't want to, maybe you've already figured some stuff out from the edits. I'm like preemptively heartbroken. I can't think of what that term is, where you're already,
it's like anticipatory grief.
Yes. I literally was shelving books today at work and thinking, like, I'm already heartbroken for the thing that's I know is going to happen. But then maybe I was thinking to myself, as you do when you already know what's going to happen, maybe they'll change it. Maybe it won't happen. Maybe we get to keep him.
I saw so many fan edits that showed clips of Beau that said, I feel jealous of people who haven't read and don't know what's coming. And that seems to be a recurring theme. And I think they've done an amazing job making us fall in love with every character, great and small. You know, Hannah's music teacher, Della at Malone's, like every person who appears, we're into them. But I do think it's going to be a really rough moment when that happens. Yeah, and I did see an interview today from the showrunner saying that all 8 scripts for season 2 are written and approved, and that the actors have been sent episodes 1 and 2. What I love about that is, unlike Heated Rivalry, where it was unclear if it was going to be successful and they were not greenlit for season 2 and they did not have anything written and we're waiting and waiting and waiting and perishing. This is already in motion in a way that makes me think the timeline could be like 1 year and we'll get the next season.
I mean, they were greenlit like a month before we even got I feel like we didn't even have the trailer or a teaser and they already had announced that they were getting season 2. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Also, while we're waiting, I'm 100% gonna buy some merch. I just really,
I almost bought the Malone's t-shirt last night, and then I was like, Stephanie, you don't need this.
I was saying to Steph the other day, in the midst of the Heated Rivalry craze, I bought many things, candles, stickers, but I never bought a sweatshirt or a t-shirt or a jersey. I don't know why, but I am feeling like an overwhelming need to have a Briar U sweatshirt. And American Eagle is selling them. I don't know how long they're going to be in stock, but I think I'm going to just give them some of my money because I really want to have it. And I think what a fun thing to be out in the wild and have a fellow reader be like, I see you. I see what's going on there. And I think I would get a kind of innocuous one that looks like a college sweatshirt, not one that says like Graham on the back.
Yeah.
I just, one that just is a little wink to the universe.
I love that for you. Maybe I'll get the Malone shirt. I don't know. I feel like part of the problem is, as a person who lives in Massachusetts, I feel weird buying fictional Massachusetts stuff. Does that make sense?
It does. I would thought you were going to say people will think it's a real place because it seems plausible that something would be called that.
Maybe. I love online how people are like, tell me you don't really understand Massachusetts by watching the show.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Just the idea that there would be a party bus that takes people to Cape Cod.
Or that there would even be a college on Cape Cod.
Yeah. There were a lot of things where I was like, you guys don't know how far away these things are. Or like the idea that Garrett could go from the Cape to a Bruins practice easy peasy. Like, have you ever been on Route 6? Like, do you know what that's like? I feel like that was unfortunately not as well researched part of the way it came together. But that's true in The Summer I Turned Pretty also. They get it wrong all the time.
Yeah.
Some things we just have to let it go.
Anything else?
And I think we have to talk about the rewatching phenomenon, which is just, this feels like similar to Heated Rivalry, a show that as soon as you get to the end, you're just hitting episode 1 again.
So I was supposed to have read a book because a book came out in hardcover a week or so ago, and all my coworkers are reading it. And I had promised that I would read it this weekend, and it's now Sunday evening, and I haven't picked it up because I'm on halfway through my third rewatch of Off Campus. And I'm not sorry.
Why would you be sorry? Why would you be sorry? For all of the reasons that we already mentioned, this show deserves to have the highest numbers that it possibly can so that it's possible for more female showrunners to tell more female-centric stories. Like, period, full stop. And like I said, it's the world is in a rough place right now. And if this brings joy, just keep going. Because I think, as we were talking about last time, I've been driving around listening to the soundtrack from this show. That brings joy. Watching and rewatching and watching the fan edits and watching the press interviews. This is one of those moments where you just give yourself over to the fandom and you let it be the thing that gives you that dopamine hit. We could have a lot worse hobbies, let me tell you. This is a very healthy way to enjoy yourself. And also, this is that weird in between where regular season shows have ended for the summer and we're waiting for the new summer shows to hit. And this dropped in the pocket in between those moments. And so while we wait for I'm not giving airtime to anyone else during this discussion, but while we wait for some other upcoming things, this is all I'm interested in.
Yep.
My
1000%.
poor Bravo shows, they've just been sitting on the shelf. I have no idea what's going on in the Bravo verse because I've been fully immersed in this, and I'm not sorry about it either.
Yeah. The books can wait, you know?
Yeah. The other books. Whereas I am like, as we discussed last time, Stephanie has or had in the past the other books and does not currently have them in her possession. I am going to somehow get my hands on them so that I can move through 2 and 3 very quickly and be up to date on what everybody else seems to already know. And I predict that I will just go from watching to reading, which is like basically the dream way to spend one's free time.
But there's also like, there's the extended universe. So there's really like not 9-ish books. Well, and more to come, I think, because technically her new book, Love Song, I think that's what it's called, is like about the children of Garrett and Logan, which is interesting because it's not, it only came.
I want us all to be in junior year and senior year of college forever. I don't want to get to the point where Garrett and Logan have children. I can't get there.
Well, book 5, which is called The Legacy, I think
that's right.
That's after college. So if you're going to read that one,
I'm sure I will, but I'm enjoying.
I read it and don't
remember
a word of it, but Goodreads told me that I read it 4 years ago.
Goodreads told me that I smashed that 5 stars. Amazing. Well, we want to hear what all of you are thinking about off campus. So please sound off in the comments. Let us know if you're loving it, what you're loving, which characters are your fave, if you're buying merch. We want to hear it all.
All right.